Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Sports Social, now on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hi, it's Lindsay Hooper here. Every week, join myself and Natasha Dowie. The Offside Rule covers the whole of the women's football pyramid and takes a look abroad as well. We have 3 key matches that we analyse from every weekend. Join myself and Natasha Dowie every single week to hear about the women's football pyramid, the ingoings, outgoings and ongoings on the Offside Rule podcast.
The Two-Footed Podcast is brought to you by EPLindex.com and our presenting sponsor, Liberty Shield. Liberty Shield is a VPN provider. A virtual privacy network allows you to go online, change your location, access things you're geo-blocked from, while keeping your data safe. So, as an example, if you are a UK expat and want access to BBC iPlayer to watch Match of the Day, or ITV Hub, or all four, but you get that message that says this content is not available in your location, a Liberty Shield VPN gets you around that block, allows you to watch whatever you want on those services while also keeping your data safe. And it goes further than that. It allows you to open up Netflix's entire library by just changing your IP address. Liberty Shield is the #1 rated VPN provider on Trustpilot with 5-star ratings across the board. So go to libertyshield.com right now, use the code EPL25 and get either the hardware package or the software package. The hardware package is a router that you plug into your existing router, and any item you want to change the IP address on, be it your phone or your television, you connect that to the new Liberty Shield router. All other items can remain connected to your existing router. There's also a software package, which is instantly downloadable to your device and you can get using straight away. Again, libertyshield.com, EPL25 for 25% off at checkout. We're also brought to you by Home of Hopcroft, a giftware and homeware company located in Scotland but shipping worldwide. Check out homeofhopcroft.co.uk and do check out the EPL Index and Anfield Index shops, which you'll find on Etsy. Use the codes EPL10 or RED10 for 10% off at checkout. And lastly, do remember to check out A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. That podcast is on this feed before every Premier League match week. And then the EPL Roundtable, hosted by Kevin DeVries, on its own EPL Roundtable feed. So just search EPL Roundtable in your podcast device. And that's out after every match week. Now, on with the show. What's good, boys and girls? Two-Footed Podcast. Today is Thursday. It is the 22nd of February. Hope you're all well. The sun is out. It's a nice day. It's a good day to be a Red. Liverpool 4, Luton Town 1 in the Premier League last night. Not a good first half, but an outstanding second half. Chidozie Egbona put Luton 1 up, and to be fair to them, they carried a significant threat in the first half. They're just a gnarly team to play against. They have a great identity. They're well coached. They're well organised. Thought Teden Mengi really stood out for them defensively, particularly in that first half. But in the second half, it was all Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk made it 1-1, heading home on Alexis McAllister corner. Cody Gakpo made it 2-1, heading home on Alexis McAllister volleyed cross. Luis Diaz made it 3-1 after Andy Robertson won the ball back deep into Luton territory. And then Harvey Elliott made it 4-1, latching on to a loose ball after Cody Gakpo was tackled in the box. Liverpool were good value for the win. And what's most impressive is when you look at the Liverpool team, you note that 9 of Jurgen Klopp's preferred starting 11 were not in the starting 11. Only Virgil van Dijk and Alexis McAllister were in the starting 11. Andy Robertson came off the bench. Ibu Konate was on the bench, did not play. Alisson Becker was not there. Trent Alexander-Arnold was not there. Dominic Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones were not there, and none of Liverpool's preferred front 3 were there. But yet, the front 3 who stepped in all scored. 2 of them played very well, Luis Diaz and Harvey Elliott. A bit of a mixed night for Cody Gakpo. Some good, some not so good. All in all, Liverpool will be very, very happy with that win. It pushes them 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Now, they have obviously played a game more. This is their game from the upcoming weekend, but it pushes the pressure on to City and Arsenal now to keep pace with them. City, obviously, this weekend, away to Bournemouth. Arsenal, they host Newcastle. Both should win, but they're 2 tough games. Neither of them can take 3 points for granted ahead of those games. And just a little psychological boost for Liverpool of having played and won and gotten themselves ahead, that could be a significant factor. In the Champions League last night, we had 2 games, neither of which ended up being particularly good. Napoli won, Barcelona won. Robert Lewandowski put Barca 1 up on 60. Victor Osimhen equalised on 75. I was very, very disappointed with this game. I watched it late last night, and was not impressed at all with either side. Napoli, I didn't expect to be impressed by because they've been a mess, but I did expect more of Barcelona. I liked how Barca lined up with Andreas Christensen playing as a defensive midfielder to allow Gundogan and Frenkie de Jong to function more like 8s rather than when they play one of them as the 6 or when they play Oriol Romeu, who, like, with the greatest of respect, should not be playing for Barcelona. I don't know what to make of Napoli. I thought it was odd that Kvaratskhelia was the one they took off, even though he wasn't getting much change out of Jules Koundé. I thought there was others that could have come off at the time, but we'll see how that substitution impacts moving forward. In the other game, we got an upset. Porto 1, Arsenal 0. Galeno with the late goal, 94 minutes, an absolutely stunning goal from about 25 yards out. Declan Rice doesn't close him down. He curled it out wide and brought it back in gloriously to find the net. Arsenal got outfought, outthought, and outplanned in this game. Sergio Conceição said Arsenal came to play and we came to win, and he was right. Arsenal were very, very naive in this game. This is an Arsenal team that doesn't have experience of playing at this level in these type of games. David Raya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, they haven't been in the knockout phases of the Champions League. They didn't like the physical approach of Porto, and stupidly they tried to match it. And despite having 65% of the ball, Arsenal committed 22 fouls last night, which is quite staggering to have the ball that much and still foul that much. Arsenal had 0 shots on target. None. They had 7 shots in total. Porto had 8 shots, 2 on target. Porto had more purpose when they had the ball. They had a more clear game plan. And this is a Porto team having their worst domestic campaign in about 9 years. And yet they were very easily able to nullify Arsenal. And that's a worrying thing for Arsenal. Now, Arsenal will point to injuries and say they didn't have Zinchenko and they didn't have Jesus. But Leandro Trossard is playing better than Jesus this season. Now, I know Jesus connects things a lot better than Trossard, but Trossard is more impactful this season. I'm not really sure that Zinchenko would have made a huge difference because he would have inverted into midfield next to Declan Rice. Ben White did that and it didn't really work for them. It felt like Arteta overthought things a little bit. Now, I still fully expect Arsenal to get through. Arsenal are a much better team than Porto. And if you're putting together a combined 11 between the two sides, I think Alan Varela and maybe Evan Nielsen would get in the Arsenal team. I'd also take the goalkeeper, even though I'm not massively keen. He has improved, especially in terms of commanding his area. I think I'd take him over Raya. I think he's a better shot stopper than Raya. Not that he had anything to do last night, but Varela in for Havertz, Rice goes to his more natural number 8 position, and Evan Nielsen through the middle. I think I'd take 3 of the Porto players. But the rest are Arsenal, and they're Arsenal moving away. So on talent, Arsenal should go through. There is a question mark over which team has the better manager. Certainly, Conceição is the more experienced manager. He's been in this game a long, long time. He's now 12 years into his managerial career. And he's worked at clubs at various different levels as well. So he knows what it's like to go into a game as huge underdogs. He knows what it's like to scrap and claw for points. And last night he set his team up brilliantly. I was very, very impressed with how well he set the team up. And he's obviously won quite a bit as Porto manager. 3 league titles, 3 Portuguese cups, a League Cup, and 3 Super Cups. He's a 3-time Premier League coach of the season. He knows what he's about and he knows what he's doing. You don't last 7 years at Porto and leave under your own steam without being a very, very good manager, because that's a club with very high demands. And if you look at the managers who've succeeded at Porto over the years, he's the only one that's really decided to stay. He had multiple opportunities to leave and he decided not to. But Mourinho left, Villas-Boas left. He's the one that's kind of stuck at it. And if you look at Porto managers over the years, like if we move backwards from him, Nuno was there. He lasted 1 season. Jose Peseiro lasted 6 months. Lopetegui lasted 18 months. Paulo Fonseca, less than a season. Vitor Pereira, 2 years. Did win back-to-back titles, decided to move on. Villas-Boas, 1 year, won everything, moved on. Feralda did well, 3 years, for 4 years, and Ferreira, but he decided to move on and he went and chased the money with Malaga. Before that, Adrianse, he lasted a year. Victor Fernandez lasted less than a year. Luigi Del Neri didn't last a summer. And then you're back to Mourinho. None of them come close to the length of tenure. 4 years is the longest anyone has lasted there. Because of the demands, because of how the club is run in a lot of ways. Like Pinto da Costa is tough to deal with. He's very, very tough to deal with. And a lot of coaches just find that they don't want to work with him because he's a pain in the arse. Now, it has led to tremendous success for Porto. Under his stewardship, which began in 1982, they've won 23 league titles, 15 cups, 1 League Cup, 22 Super Cups, 2 European Cups, 2 UEFA Cups, a Super Cup, and 2 Intercontinental Cups, or as we now know them, the World Club Cup. Like, they've had amazing success under him, but managers find him tiresome. And he's always in some sort of bother as well. He's always getting himself in trouble. Anyway, back to Sergio Conceição. I think there's going to be a couple of clubs that have strong interest in him this summer. I definitely think we'll see him get a pretty decent job come the summer. He might want to take some time off. You never know. He might feel like he wants a break from the game. 7 years is a long time. And like I said, he's been a manager for 12, so he might just be feeling a little bit of burnout. But he will definitely get some sort of position in the summer, and it wouldn't be surprising if he lands in the Premier League. Like, if Newcastle decided to move on from Eddie Howe, if West Ham decide to move on from David Moyes, they're not going to have a long list of managers better than him that they could go and chase. I think he could be a really good fit for West Ham. But like I say, I expect Arsenal to bounce back in the second leg. I expect them to progress. They are the better team, unquestionably. But, you know, they were better than Sporting Lisbon last year, and they couldn't get past them at the same round of the Europa League. And we've spoken this week about how Arsenal tend to struggle at the end of seasons under Mikel Arteta. Wanted to quickly catch up on the championship action from this week. We had 4 games. Cardiff 0, Blackburn 0. Ipswich 4, Rotherham 3. That was a playoff team versus a team almost certainly going down. Plymouth 0, West Brom 3. Great win for West Brom there. And Southampton won, Hull City 2. Massive win for Hull, a big dent to Southampton, who are chasing promotion. Now, this weekend, you've got Coventry at home to Preston, Leeds home to Leicester. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. That is must watch. Genuinely must watch. That is second hosting first in the division. There's 13 games left. Those look like, at the moment, the 2 teams most likely to come up directly, though Ipswich are turning things round. So maybe they can push themselves back up into second spot. You've got Hull versus West Brom, early kickoff on Saturday. That should be a good one. Blackburn against Norwich, Ipswich against Birmingham. Obviously, tough time for Birmingham at the moment with Tony Mowbray having had to step away. QPR versus Rotherham, Cardiff versus Stoke, Southampton against Millwall, Sheffield Wednesday versus Bristol City, Sunderland against Swansea, Watford against Huddersfield, and Middlesbrough against Plymouth. So at the moment, it's Leicester top, 9 points clear of Ipswich. Sorry, of Leeds. Leeds are level on points with Ipswich, but have a significantly better goal difference. Leeds are in tremendous form. They've won their last 5 in a row. 2 points behind Ipswich is Southampton. Then it's a 12-point drop to West Brom. And as I've said before, it'll be one of Leeds, Ipswich and Southampton joining Leicester, unless Leicester have some sort of historic collapse here. And then the other 2 will be in the playoffs, leaving 2 playoff spots. And I think you're looking at Preston, Norwich, Coventry, Hull, and West Brom as the teams most likely to fill those spots. So 2 of that group. If I had to bet at the moment, I would say Hull and I think Coventry. Coventry are very hard to beat. And Coventry have the experience of pressurised run-ins trying to get themselves into a playoff spot. So I think I'm going to back Coventry to be one of the teams in the playoffs this year. Sunderland in 10th, they're only 7 points behind Hull. And in that division, that can be made up quite quickly because teams go through weird runs. But there's so much upheaval there at the moment, and we don't know who the next manager is going to be. So I can't really put much faith in them. Below Sunderland, it's Watford, Bristol City, Middlesbrough. Disappointing season for them. Cardiff, Birmingham, Blackburn, Plymouth Argyle, Swansea, Stoke City, Huddersfield, who've pulled themselves out of the relegation spots, Millwall, who've lost 4 in a row and are trending towards the relegation spots. QPR are only 1 point behind Millwall and have won 2 of their last 4, have only lost 1 of their last 5, whereas Millwall have lost 4 in a row. I can see QPR potentially jumping out of the relegation spots and Millwall dropping in. Sheffield Wednesday have 29 points. They are currently 4 points from safety. So they still have a good chance if they can put a decent run together. And they've won 2 of their last 3. And Rotherham look dead and buried. They've lost 5 or 6 in a row. So not great for them. In League One, we had 3 games this midweek as well. Cambridge 1, Bolton Wanderers 2, Reading 2, Port Vale 0, and Oxford United 2, Northampton Town 2. So the table has Pompey top, 6 points clear of Derby, who are level on points with Bolton. Bolton have 1 game in hand on Derby, 2 in hand on Pompey. Then it is Barnsley, Oxford, and Peterborough filling out the playoff spots. And I think only really Stevenage and Blackpool have a chance to disrupt that and get into the playoff spots. Now, Stevenage have lost 3 of their last 4 and only 1 win in their last 5. Peterborough have lost 4 in a row. They're doing their best to throw away a playoff spot. Leyton Orient sit 9th, Lincoln 10th, Northampton 11th, Bristol Rovers in 12th, Wigan Athletic in 13th. I'm just glad to see stability at Wigan. They don't appear to be on the brink of financial disaster, it's a step forward. Exeter City, Wycombe, Reading, Cambridge, Burton Albion, Shrewsbury, Charlton, Cheltenham, Port Vale, Fleetwood and Carlisle currently in the relegation spots because 4 go down. Fleetwood and Carlisle look lost causes. Carlisle in particular, 20 points there, 13 points and 24 goals from safety and have lost 4 in a row. 5 in a row, sorry, 5 in a row. But anybody from... Because of the unpredictable nature of these leagues and the fact that there's so many games, you could realistically see anyone from Wycombe in 15th going down in that 4th relegation spot. Because there's only 6 points between Wycombe and Cheltenham. I like Wycombe, though. I don't want them going down. I've always had a soft spot for them. I think it's the Martin O'Neill thing. League 2, we had 4 games in the midweek. Gillingham 0, Stockport 0, Walsall 3, Morecambe 0, MK Dons 1, Wrexham 1. Players sent off for both sides. James McLean scoring for Wrexham. You love to see it. AFC Wimbledon 0, Crawley Town 1. Table, Stockport top, 2 points clear of Mansfield, but Mansfield have a game in hand. Wrexham are a point further back. Like Mansfield, they have a game in hand on Stockport. If both of them win the games in hand, Wrexham would stay 3rd because their goal difference is considerably less than Stockport's. Crewe are in 4th, MK Dons in 5th, Barrow in 6th, Harrogate Town in 7th, Gillingham in 8th. Now, it's 4 teams going up, 3 automatically and 1 through the playoffs. So Wrexham do have a good chance at automatic promotion. The playoffs, as they stand, Crewe will be in, MK Dons, I would guess, would be in, and Barrow look like they should be in. So that only really leaves 1 spot. And you've got a whole mess of teams who could claim it. Harrogate are on 48, Gillingham 48, AFC Wimbledon, Notts County and Morecambe all 47, Accrington, Bradford, Crawley and Newport all on 46, and Walsall, who are 16th in the league, on 45, only 3 points outside the relegation zone, with a better goal difference than Harrogate. So that is still wide open for that last playoff spot, and looks like it could be quite a fun battle for it. Below Walsall, it's a 5-point gap to Tranmere. Then we got Swindon, Salford, Doncaster, Colchester, Grimsby. The hapless Forest Green have moved off the bottom of the table. Sutton United now sit bottom. It is time for us to do our infrequent checkup on Big Dunk, see how he's getting on. So in recent weeks, I remember they beat Ayr, then they lost to Dundee United. They beat Broomhill in the fourth round of the Scottish Cup. They beat Wraith Rovers. I think that's when we checked in on them the last time, a 3-2 win over Wraith Rovers. They lost 1-0 to Queen's Park. They lost 3-1 to Hibernian in the fifth round of the Cup, but that's no surprise. Hibs are significantly better. And then they drew 3-3 with Partick Thistle last time out. Looks like they threw away a 2-goal lead and then got themselves 3-2 ahead and threw that away as well. So how is Big Dunk doing in terms of his career win percentage? It won't be pretty, but it's improved drastically. So with Inverness, 21 games, 8 wins, 6 draws, 7 defeats, a 38.1% win rate, which obviously isn't good, but it's massively improved from the 5.56% win rate he had in 18 games at at Forest Green. For the career, 44 games, 10 wins, 12 draws, 22 defeats, a 50% loss record, and a 22.73% win record. At the moment, they sit 8th in the Scottish Championship. Now, it's worth pointing out that last season, they finished 6th. And the season before, they finished 3rd. And the season before, they finished 5th. And the season before, they finished 2nd. And the season before, they finished 3rd. So this would be the worst season that they've had in quite a while. But that's Big Dunk for you. That's what he delivers. We'll be back after the break. See you soon.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
I do overthink everything.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
I should just get fake plants.
It's the President's Day sale at Mattress Firm. Get a king bed for a queen price. Save up to $700 plus a free adjustable base with select Sealy mattresses. See a lower price? We'll match it. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Right, welcome back. So it is Thursday, so therefore we do have some questions. Let's get into them. Matt JT, yesterday, this was Saturday, Liverpool had a starting 11 with 11 different nationalities. If you were tasked with building a Liverpool squad, starter and backup for every position of all different nationalities, who would you keep from the current squad and who would sign to fill the gaps? Okay, let's have a quick look. So we can only keep one English player. Oh, that's tough. Right, hang on. Only keep one Dutch lad. Well, that's easy. Right, we're keeping Alisson and Queeveen because they're the only Brazilian and Irish players in the squad. Republic of Ireland, obviously. Conor Bradley is from our island. He is Irish, but he plays for Northern Ireland. So we're keeping Conor Bradley. We're keeping Virgil. We're keeping Ibu. We can keep... See, we can keep Robbo and we can keep Costas for left back. We can keep Joel Matip. Unfortunately, Jarrell Quansah would have to go. Joe Gomez would have to go. The big question is, do we keep Trent or Curtis Jones? And Trent is the better player without question. Yeah, we'll keep Trent. Okay, so we've got Trent, Connor Bradley. Now, ideally, I would like to swap out Costas for another left back. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to swap Costas out and I'm going to sign Patrick Dorgu, the Danish left back who plays for Lecce. So I need a backup centre back. We're having to keep Joel Matip. I need a backup centre back. Okay, we'll come back to that. Midfield, we keep Endo. Keep Szoboszlai, we keep McAllister. Thiago, we say goodbye to. We keep Basetic. Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Ryan Gravenberch, Bobby Clark, and James McConnell, thank you for your service. But unfortunately, I can't keep any of you. So I want a starting defensive midfielder. I will take Lamine Camara of Senegal. So I've got him and I've got Endo. I've got Dominic and Alexis. I'll keep Basetic as the backup to Alexis in that kind of more defensive 8. So I need a backup for Dominic. So I'll come back to that one. In attack, I keep Salah, I keep Darwin, I keep Jota, and I keep Diaz, Cody Gakpo, Cade Gordon, and unfortunately Ben Doak. Actually, would it be better to sell Robertson and keep Doak looking at the long term? We'll just keep Robertson for now. So I need 2 in attack. I've got 4. I need 2 in attack. We'll bring in Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. So he can be our starting left winger. So we've got Mo, Darwin, and him. Jota back up through the middle. Diaz back up on the left. So we need a right-sided forward. So we're looking for a centre-back, an attack-minded 8, and a right winger-ish type player. For the right-sided 8 role, the more attack-minded role, we are going to take ourselves to the Ukraine. We're going to call on Shakhtar Donetsk, and we're going to take Jorge Sudakev, young Ukrainian midfielder, 21 years of age. We'll take him. He's not as dynamic as Dominic, but he is a very good player. I think that's who I want. The other option... No, that's who we're going to go for. We'll go for Sudakov, so that's fine. For the centre-back we need, I'd like to have a left-footed centre-back in the squad. And as we do not have an Ecuadorian player, we are going to go and get ourselves an Ecuadorian left-footed centre-back, not Piero Hincapié. We will take William Pacho from Eintracht Frankfurt, who is, I think, outstanding. So we'll go with him. And now we need a right winger. And let's have a look. I believe we don't have a Belgian in the squad. We do not have a Belgian in the squad. And what that will mean is that we go to the Netherlands, we go to PSV Eindhoven, and we will relieve them of Johan Bakayoko. Yeah. Right. So that is... Let me get a piece of paper to write this down so I can figure this out. Why have I got this upside down? There we go. Right. I am bringing in Dorgu. I think 15 gets him. Pacho. I would say 25. Lamine Camara. I think 20. Sudakov. I think 20. Yeah. Bakayoko, I believe the asking price is 30. And we'll just pay that and not argue. And then Kvicha. Last summer, the talk was 100 million. He hasn't had a particularly great season. I'm going to say 80. So that is 40, 60, 80, 110. 190 million in spending with sales. Now, what we'll do is we'll just say any of the academy players. So Quansah, Clark, McConnell, Gordon, Doug. Like we'll not sell them because they're kids, but we'll go through the rest that we have to sell. So Adrian would leave on a free. Joe Gomez, off the season he's having, I think that's an easy 30 million. Costas, we'll say 15. Reese Williams, 2. 1, I don't know, something like that. Thiago would be a free. Curtis Jones, that's an easy 50 million. Easy 50. Gravenberg. What are we saying there? 25, 30? About that. And then Gakpo. 35, 40? We'll say 30 and 40 for the two Dutch lads. So that is 45, 47, 97, 167 coming in for 6 players and 190 going out for 6 players. Now, I might want another centre-back because Joel Matip, 32, he's torn his ACL, so you might want to look at a different centre-back. So we'll actually add Edmund Tapsoba to the incomings. We don't have anyone from Burkina Faso, so now we have him. So let's say 45 for him, which puts us at 235, which is a net spend of 68 million. To bring in Dorgu, Pacho, Kamara, Sudakov, Bakayoko, Kvicha, and Tapsoba. I think that's improved our squad, especially if we can keep all the sort of 21 and under academy players, inclusive of Harvey Elliott, who did play in our academy. Curtis is the hardest one to sell, without question, of those. Without question, Curtis Jones is the hardest one to let go of. Mr. Kevin Clark, it was only 10. Yeah, it was only 10 nationalities, but 11 international allegiances. Imagine the Premier League and FA implemented a rule change. This one is from Brad. Implemented a rule change where promoted teams were not allowed to be relegated in their first season up. Do you think this would change anything or just delay the inevitable and unintended consequences you can think of? It would. Well, we definitely see teams that wouldn't normally get relegated go down. It would drive competition. You would have to relax the spending rules, though. You would have to relax the spending rules because if you've only got 17 teams that can be relegated, but there's 20 teams in the division, you'd have to allow the teams that, let's say, normally would finish 17th to 13th or 12th, you'd have to push them to spend a bit more. Now, my proposal for the newly promoted teams is that when they come up, they should be given a 3-window grace period on profit and sustainability. So if you get promoted into the Premier League, you can spend whatever you feel necessary. Right, there's going to have been a weird break there because Molly went absolutely bananas because somebody rang the doorbell. So I was in the middle of answering this question from Brad about teams coming up. So let me start my answer again in terms of what I would do. I think you give them 3 windows, summer, winter, summer, where within reason they can spend and it doesn't hurt them in terms of profit and sustainability. I also think teams coming up should not have to carry their spend from the lower league into the Premier League because the only way to get out of the Championship is to spend. Otherwise, it's not possible. That league is too competitive. And when you get teams dropping in from the Premier League, they have a huge advantage financially. So the only way for a team who maybe hasn't been in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years to get back up is to spend. And then the only way to stay up is to spend more. And if you're going to tell clubs that in their second season, you're going to hammer them with a 10-point deduction, then what's the point? So I would say let them come up, start their P&S from then. They have 3 years of P&S, but the first 3 windows, even if it's a reduced amount, say like your losses are reduced by 50%. So if you lose 50 million in the first year, it only counts to 25. Do you know? I just think we have to make it so that teams can be ambitious and can come back up properly. That's my view on it. Chris Colby, we're 2 years from the 21-22 winter transfer window. How would you rate the most expensive transfers 1 to 10 with their impact on the receiving team? Who's the most overrated signing and what was your favorite smaller deal? Also, what was the most impactful loan? So that's the January 2022 transfer window. Okay, let's see. So there's a top 10 list here of signings. So that's not going to do. That's not going to work at all. That's Kieran Trippier below Anthony Martial. So I'm not sure what way they're actually listing them. Transfers by club. Right. Arsenal signed Matt Turner, Austin Trusty, and Lino Sosa. Matt Turner has been sold. Lino Sosa has left to join Aston Villa and has gone on loan to Plymouth. And Austin Trusty has also been sold. So I would say for Arsenal, that window is a failure. Moving on to Aston Villa. They signed Luca Digne, Callum Chambers, Robin Olsen, and Phil Coutinho. Phil Coutinho has already been binned off. Luca Digne has already been replaced, and the other two did nothing. I would say that window is an F. Brentford signed Christian Eriksen. He was really good for them. They signed him on a short-term contract, but I would give them a C for that one. For Brighton, Kasper Kozlowski, Dennis Undav, Billy Clark. Undav didn't work out. Kozlowski's been on loan. Looks a really good player, but I'll give it a D because it hasn't really made a huge amount of difference. They did sell Dan Burn for decent money. Burnley signed Wout Weghorst. It made no difference. They went down. That's an F. Chelsea signed Mason Burstow and Dylan Williams, neither of whom were ever likely to make any impact. Palace signed Jean-Philippe Mateta and Luc Plange. Mateta's been okay. Plange, he hasn't really played a whole lot, has he? He's 21 now. He's had 4 loans and he's never kicked a ball for Crystal Palace. We will go D for them. Everton, Michaelenko, Patterson, Billy Crellin, Dele Alli, Donny van de Beek, and Anwar El Ghazi. El Ghazi was a disaster. Van de Beek was a disaster. Dele's been a disaster. I like Patterson. I think he's a good player, and I think Michaelenko's been good this season. I'll give them a B-. Leeds signed Mateo Fernandez and Ryan Edmondson. Ryan Edmondson was a loan ending. He was coming back off that, so we'll go F. Leicester didn't sign anybody. Liverpool signed Luis Diaz. I'd give it a C+. Manchester City signed Julian Alvarez. I think that's a solid B. Manchester United didn't do anything. Newcastle signed Bruno Guimaraes, Chris Wood, Dan Burn, Kieran Trippier, and brought Matt Targett in on loan. The Target one hasn't worked. Trippier's been largely good. Burns been largely good. Wood wasn't good, but they got most of their money back. Guimaraes has been unbelievable, so it's an A. Norwich did nothing. Southampton signed Willie Caballero as a free, so F. Spurs signed Rodrigo Bentancur and Dejan Kulusevski. I would give that a B+. Watford signed Okoye, Kayembe, Kamara, Kalu, and Yasser Asprilla. I would say overall, Yasser Asprilla alone makes it a B for me. And then West Ham did nothing. Yeah, so that's how I'd rate those teams. So my favorite deal of that window is the Guimaraes one. He's the best player that moved. And I'm still annoyed that Liverpool didn't buy him. He would have been sensational. Smaller deals. I really like the Christian Eriksen one. Really liked the Christian Eriksen one. I thought it was really good to see him back playing football, and it was good to see Brentford signing a player of that reputation. AMK 2889. What is your ceiling for Quansah, Bradley, Elliott, and Jones? Do you think any of them at some point could be the best from their generation that given positions? Can you see all 4 of them staying at Liverpool for the best parts of their career? Quansah has everything bar a turn of pace. He's a little bit slow on the turn. Now, he reads the game really well. I think he can be a regular first-choice starter for Liverpool. Conor Bradley as a wing-back, I think, could be a regular starter for Liverpool in a couple of years because he's really good getting forward. Defensively, he's got a lot of work to do, but there's flashes that he has the tools to do it. Elliott, I don't think will be a starter for Liverpool long term. And I think Elliott probably leaves Liverpool in the next 3 to 4 years. but I think he'll play at Liverpool and play regularly as in the same kind of role he has now in the interim. And maybe under a different manager with a different shape and a different style of play, he might trigger something else and he might spark, and he may well establish himself as a first choice starter. I think Jones will stay most of his career. I think he'll be like the fourth starter for 3-man midfield, the third starter for 2-man midfield, that type of thing. Can I see all four, any of them staying at Liverpool? Yeah, I certainly see 3 of them staying long term. Harvey is the one I'd have a doubt over long term. But I'm a big fan of the 2 kids that have broken through this year, Quansah and Bradley. I think they're both, and the mindset is spot on. They're so intelligent. They're mature beyond their age. They clearly have the desire, which maybe they could teach to 1 or 2 of their more senior, well, not senior, but older teammates. But yeah, big fan. Right, that was a bit of a messy segment, but we're going to go to break. We're going to come back, do the gossip, and be done for the day. Right, welcome back. So, news. Dani Alves is a terrible set of lads, and that's all I have to say about him. Toni Kroos has announced that he will return to the German national team for the upcoming Euros because the coach asked him, and he's just in the mood to do so. Joe Hart is going to retire at the end of this season. This is his 3rd season with Celtic. He has reinvigorated his career up there, but he has made the decision that this will be his last. Working under Brendan Rodgers will do that to you. Jim Ratcliffe, Manchester United's new part owner, says he wants a new national stadium in the north, and he also wants the government to pay for it, which is very, very bizarre. Very, very bizarre indeed. Everton hope that their appeal against their points deduction will be settled around the end of the month. Of course, they are facing a second charge for breaching the profit and sustainability in the following season. But the case for the second charge cannot be heard until their appeal against the first deduction takes place. I don't know what to think. Genuinely don't know what to think. But they're not getting out of this with no points deducted, is my guess. I'd be stunned if they got away with 2. And it would lead likely to serious lawsuits. There's already multiple clubs threatening lawsuits against the Premier League and against Everton. Gossip. West Ham are monitoring Dominic Solanke. That would make sense. He'd fit well there, and that's a nice move for him. Chelsea lead Arsenal in the race to sign Victor Osimhen. Actually, PSG lead both, but, never let the truth get in the way of your clickbait. Bayern Munich manager Thomas Tuchel will prioritise a move back to England when he leaves the German club at the end of the season. Jurgen Klopp will not replace Tuchel as he's going to take a year off. Bayern Munich will rival Liverpool for Bayer Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso. Former Real Madrid boss Zinedine Zidane would return to management to take the Bayern Munich job. That would be a pretty interesting fit. My feel on Alonso is that he might stay at Leverkusen for a year and wait for the Real Madrid job and just get that out of the way because he wants to manage them at some point. He'll never get the opportunity to manage a better team than what they're currently constructing, with Mbappe joining all that midfield talent, Arda Güler, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, potentially Alphonso Davies, potentially Lenny Yoro, Thibaut Courtois already there, Militao already there. Like, they're 1, maybe 2 players away from being absolutely spectacular for the next 5 to 6 years. AC Milan's 37-year-old striker Olivier Giroud could leave the club for MLS at the end of the season. That one would make sense. Chelsea will listen to offers for Robert Sanchez this summer. Well, I told them at the time that wasn't a very good move, and they've quickly learned. The Blues are not entertaining offers for Levi Colwill. We'll see how that stands come June when the pressure's on. Luka Modric is set to leave Real in the summer, which is fair. You'd imagine he'll probably go to MLS or maybe to Saudi. I think MLS would be cool. France forward Kylian Mbappe will take a pay cut to join Real Madrid. Al Ittihad are targeting Mohamed Salah and Son Heung-min. Now, of course, this is an exclusive from Steve K, which means he's just made it up. I wonder, does he make up his stories when he's sitting on the bog or something? That's my guess. Manchester United and Arsenal are keen on Matthias Tell. He's a really talented player, but I'd imagine whoever the next Bayern manager is will actually give him opportunities. Liverpool hope to be favoured to sign Luis Guilherme from Palmeiras. I don't know about that. Chelsea and Arsenal are leading the race to sign Aberdeen centre-back Lewis Carroll at the end of the season. Okay. English midfielder James Garner has been targeted by Tottenham and Newcastle, with the 22-year-old Englishman appealing in many aspects to the Premier League sides. He's a good player. Right, folks, that'll do. I will see you all tomorrow. Hopefully we have no doorbell ringing at the time. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Social Podcast Network.
Ohio, ready for some quick mental health facts? Let's go. Nearly 2 million Ohioans live with a mental health condition. In the U.S., more than 50% of people will be diagnosed with a mental illness in their lifetime. Depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide. So why are some of us still stigmatizing people living with a mental health condition when we know all of this? Let's listen to the facts and beat the stigma. Ohio, challenge what you know about mental health at beatthestigma.org.